I'll try and project a bit. I think you've made a very, very powerful film that's very beautiful and moving and funny in places, very insightful, and also at times very, very difficult to watch. You know, it's a story that there's no way about it doesn't have a happy ending, does it? You know, what drove you to make that film? Do you think it was a story that had never been told?
Well, I think we have different answers.
Okay.
For me as a fan, I thought someone had to make this film. So before we did this, I was not a producer or whatsoever. I just had a normal job in Holland,
right.
And I'm a music lover. Then I followed the sound and Adrian during his life. And after seeing the film Searching for Sugarman, about 6 years, I thought, well, I can do that also. With the help of Marc, who's a professional filmmaker, and my aim was just to do it, to do something back for Adrian, who helped me really to the 80s.
For me it was different. I didn't knew the sound. I knew it because Jean-Paul always talked about it, but I didn't knew the sound and didn't knew Adrian Borden. But he came to me and said, I want to make a movie about my hero. So I said, well, come over to my place and we drink a few beers and we talk about it. And for me, I immediately was intrigued by the story of Adrian.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the starting point to tell, because it is a hard story, and the music followed. So now I'm a fan,
yeah.
But it was through the process of making this film.
Yeah, it was the opposite way around for me. I mean, I heard the sound. The first track I ever heard was a track called "Winning" from an album called "From the Lion's Mouth,"
Yeah.
and they did a Peel session for John Peel, the DJ, and this is about probably 1981. And I used to do this to tape it off the radio. You know, we used to tape stuff off the radio. I'd take this session, you know, and it really got to me, that song, because I mean, at that time I was really enjoyed a brilliant record with Bunnymen, and the band sounded like actually those two bands combined. But what really got me about it was the vocals, you know, and the lyrics. And actually, the weird thing in watching that film, you capture something really well in that film, which is that he was fighting against this dark tide, if you like, or whatever it was, you know, something, this bleakness, and the force with which he was fighting against it was where the music came from. And actually that song is about that. So the first track I ever heard is that, and you've captured that beautifully in that film, that sense that was where it came from, you know. I mean, did you presumably you must have? I mean, I never knew the story of Adrian, and so there's a lot of this I had no idea about until I saw the film.
Me neither.
I don't think anybody knew.
Well, his family and his friends, like James, Pat, they knew, Graham knew. But when Adrian passed away in 1999, then in a period of time, some things came above the ground,
yeah.
And we heard more and more and more.
Yeah.
And when I learned to know Bob, that was after Adrian passed away, because firstly I published a book on Adrian called The Book of Happy Memories, and then I started my relationship with the family of Adrian. And then they told me, but during making the film, still some more facts were new for me, like that he tried to kill his parents. That was new for me, and I didn't know it was that tough for him.
Yeah, yeah. Was it difficult to track down and assemble that amazing cast? You know, that of people that have been able to put in all the different pieces of this jigsaw.
I really want to be modest, but it was very easy.
Right.
Yeah, that's because of, I think I'm a fan, and they knew me as a fan. And earlier published a book on Adrian. And there's another thing, the people who were in the cast wanted it to tell them, because when Adrian passed away, they didn't, they still find it hard to talk about it,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
still had to deal with it because they were confronted with it also. So this film, when it helped them to tell the story, and for them it solved something.
Yeah.
Especially Graham and B, for them it was very important to tell their story.
Is it difficult to capture that on film, that kind of story? I mean, you've done it really, really well. It's a story that I would imagine could have been handled badly. You know, there must have been moments where you thought, we can't do it like this, or we can do this, but not. It has to be handled very lightly, I suppose, or delicately. You know, because it's a very sensitive subject, and a lot of people, very close to Adrian, etc., are in the film. Was that difficult?
Yes and no. Yeah, that's not an answer.
Because obviously you've got a responsibility as a filmmaker to
Yeah,
produce a film.
no, everything is thought out, but
Yeah.
and well, when we started, I knew I had some key points, and what I had to figure out is how to get there in a good way, and it's not that I tried more versions or something. This just came out, but I thought everything is thought out, but during the editing, not before. We went filming with this few key points, and during the interview, people were talking about things, and a lot of people were talking about the same things, and that's what you see a couple of times. People can, pick up the story in an interview of someone who started it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone else.
Yeah.
And for me, that the puzzle was to get to the other key points. But yeah.
Because I think, in a way, you captured something that often happens when, I suppose, especially when people commit suicide, that everybody they've known seems to have known a different side of them, and so somebody will have known them like this. We've had people talking about how he was really happy, full of humour. Other people have seen other side, and you're kind of putting all those pieces together, aren't you, and trying to make sense of it all in a way, which isn't actually the easiest, with something like this, when it's mental illness. It's not something that's easily made sense of like that. I mean,
well, it was a little bit easier for this film because Adrian talks about it in his music. I could interview people. People were very, very honest, and but if they're talking about something that happens in 1992, you can pick a record, put it on the table from that period, and he talks about it. So in a sense, he's still telling his story in the film, and that made it easier because it comes from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
I think you've done that really well. I think that's one of the things that really comes over. And I think looking back, one of the things that got me as a 17-year-old, I think I was when I first heard those records. Even at that age, at that time it was quite fashionable to be depressed in a weird sort of way. You would listen to The Cure, you'd listen to Joy Division, you'd carry a Russian novelist under your arm and you'd paint your bedroom black as I did, all that stuff. I'm sure some of you have gone through the same period. It was kind of trendy, to be dark and doomy. But I think even at that age, I realised that actually this was real. It wasn't somebody saying, "Oh God, I'm so miserable. The world is crap." It was beautiful, and it was coming from a genuine place. Is that what attracted you to, the sound?
I was just trying to interrupt you because I maybe find it funny, but I don't think it's really dark because when I listened to Adrian's music, and still does, it always gave me hope.
Yeah.
Oh, you understand?
Well, it's that dual force that I spoke to earlier. There is this blackness, but I mean, like the song "Winning," you know, is about I'm going to drown, and then I started winning. You know, it's kind of you're going down, and you're kind of you're fighting against this, and a lot of the stuff was like that, and the feel of the music was like that. So it was it was light and dark at the same time, I suppose.
Well, the songs always had for me a happy end.
Mm. Mm.
So and I know a lot of people like me. It really was hopeful music. It gave us hope, despite he was struggling.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, it's a strange.
Yeah, that's right. It's a double kind of thing. And I suppose I mean the other thing, which I mean to an extent, people won't know until they've seen this film, was the extent at which he was struggling. I don't think anybody, certainly at the time, you know, even up to his death, I don't think that this was not widely known.
No,
you know?
No, it's a few people who knew that, yeah. And just like Dudley says, the drummer of the band, he was with him in the band, and he only knew in 1987 when he drove him back from Spain. So yeah, well, they kept it secret for a long time. Yeah, only a few people knew. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which is amazing in the modern world, because we seem to know so much about
I think the time has changed, because in that period mental illness was probably not very common to talk about.
That's right. That's right. And especially in music. I mean, you know, there's that very revealing moment in a way where the record company are coming along and asking about meet and greets. You know, hang on, your artist is in a mental institution. He's not going to be up for meet and greets, and yet they're just asking about, and that just sums up the I suppose the crassness with which the industry deals with art.
We were really afraid that this was played against and would cancel the album. So, do
you think he'd have liked the film?
That's the most difficult question. His father. Well, his father is, how do you call it? In Holland we say rhetorical. But Adrian's father and his niece said he would have liked it. He would have been honored, because what Carlo is saying in the film also, Adrian was looking for recognition.
Yes, absolutely.
And if it's about his mental illness or not, but he gets the audience, he gets recognition for his music, he gets more fans. So yes, probably would be honored, and he would like it. He would have liked it, yes.
It's funny, the reason I was asked to do this, I wrote a piece for The Guardian about a year ago about Adrian, and it was we used to do this column called Cult Heroes, which in the end proved too culty for its own good, and they kind of scrapped the column because it wasn't read by enough people. But I wrote, you know, I basically thought, right, this is my one opportunity to write about the sound and Adrian Baldwin in The Guardian, so I wrote a piece about Adrian. And what really struck me was that, you know, you get the comments underneath, you know, and it wasn't as widely read as, you know, what would have been on the front page that day, but all the comments were, you know, they were all saying, you know, this man was a genius, this man was one of the greats of music, and other people saying that they knew him and they were telling bits about the story, and it was really gripping and amazing reading, and you know, it did cross my mind watching that I thought, wow, you know, he has got the recognition. It might have not been on the scale of Bono, etc., but I think as anyone here will probably attest, that if you once you get into that music and you it's hard, you don't leave it, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
You know, is that kind of.
Yeah, well, I agree. He was great, and I think he was a poet, because when you read his lyrics and don't hear the music, he was a poet. Okay.
We'll have some questions from you. I mean, I'm always curious as to, you know, who else likes the sound and who else likes Adrian Baldwin. So, you know, if you'd like to, you know, if anyone's got questions, do, you know, tell us out, you know, how you came across him as well, and, you know, why you liked him, etc. Fire away.
Well, we came here because a friend of ours liked the sound, and I must confess, I remembered the name of the group, but I didn't really know them very well. But I loved the film, it was a great film, but I thought there were very many stories there. There was a story of a musician, there was a story of mental illness, and there was a story of a father's love for his son, which I thought was very important part of that. And it was fascinating for me to see how this father, from a very early age, was supporting him, and being not a wealthy man, you know, but behind it. But the mother, his mother,
Yeah,
was she a part of it?
Adrian was the only son,
Yeah.
and his mother, in Holland we say mama's child.
Mm-hmm.
So his mother was really fond of Adrian, and she
Mhm.
did everything for Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
And when Adrian went on tour, when he went to the States also, so it was not only Holland,
Mm-hmm.
so they toured Europe and America. But when they had a tour, she was waving at the end of the street, waving him goodbye, and gave him a box with sandwiches.
Yeah.
So she was really caring for him. And she passed away 10 years ago of grief. She couldn't handle it. And as I earlier said, his father passed away 2 weeks ago. And I always had a discussion with Bob about his fathership, because I'm also myself a father of a son. And I said, Bob, what you did was amazing. To start recording an album in the living room,
Yeah.
to give them space
That was a
to
fantastic scene
do,
where he's pointing where the people
to do sessions, and twice started a label for Adrian to publish his music. And he always said to me, "Oh, Jean-Paul, every father should do that." I don't think so.
Yeah. And then the book you wrote was called The Book of Happy Memories, did you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
A lovely title, despite
Yeah,
all
because
the-
there's a song
the
of
awful
Adrian
things that
called
happened,
the
you
Box
know.
of Happy Memories,
Yeah.
which is a
Okay.
box which Razy had in her house with all her memories in it. That's
Yeah.
the song about, and we called the Book of Happy Memories. Well, thank you.
Very touching.
I was wondering why you think the sound was so popular
In Holland.
in Holland in
Yes,
particular.
yes,
'Cause
There are two
French
reasons.
actually-
There are two reasons. I think there are two reasons, I must say, because we don't know for sure the reason. There are two facts. In Holland in the 80s, the venues were sponsored by the government, and we called them youth clubs. And in every little village, town, there was a youth club, and there's a band like The Sound, but also like the Concert Angels and Echo and Bunnyman, who played there 10 times in 2 weeks. And for me as a fan, I could see that 10 times. So that was in a short time, there was a gathering of people who went to all Sound concerts. And the second one is, they had two, we call them managers. One was responsible for touring the UK, and the other one was responsible for touring in Europe. So Holland, Luxembourg, Belgium, Italy, Spain, they were popular. And the guy who was responsible for their touring in UK did his job no good. This is what Bob said, and this is what B says and what Graham says. But for me it's a real pity that for me as a Dutchman that Adrian wasn't popular in the UK. I really regret that.
Because that song, Winning, I'd actually forgotten about it. I can remember Can't Escape Myself and so on, and it came back.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd play it and I'd have to stop playing it because it's so powerful. So it's very strange the effects certain
Yeah,
tracks
well,
have.
for myself, I thought maybe, because I've always wondered why they weren't popular in England, and they got a lot of critical acclaim for the first two records with Jeopardy and From the Lights Out. But I always wondered, maybe it's about the lyrics, because for me as a Dutchman, the lyrics sound maybe different than as you, my English maybe are too direct, I don't know.
I think one of the reasons that they suffered in comparison to The Cure and the Bunnymen was because it was a that period at which the sound emerged was a period at which British pop got very fashion-led and very image conscious. And McCullough and Robert Smith, I mean, they had big hair, long overcoats, they looked cool, and they were on top of the pops looking like that. And
but they tried.
The sound kind of never. I mean, even the sound actually is featured in smash hits, incredibly as it seems. But so they were in those pop magazines, but for some reason, and you see it in so many bands where you think, why does that band succeed and they don't succeed? They're better than them, or they're as good as them, and it's those really tiny little things. It's whatever makes somebody stick a picture of, I mean, when I was a kid, I had Mark Bolan on my wall.
Yeah.
You know, why did I have Mark Bolan on my wall and not someone else? You know, it's those things. You know, that's my theory on it. But also, you know, they never got enough radio play over here either. You know, those sort of things are really important. Echo and the Bunnymen and the Cure got on daytime radio 1 quite early on, and the sound, apart from, I don't ever remember hearing the sound on the radio apart from at night. You know, John Peel was after 10 o'clock.
Well, they were on the
Janice
program,
Long was
isn't
8
it?
o'clock, but that's at night as well. You know, and that's it again, late at night. You know, they needed to be on the afternoon radio. That's how you broke in the Britain Band in those.
Yeah.
I mean, the saddest aspect about the story in a way, or one of the sad aspects, I think if Adrian was around now, I think he would be playing to huge audiences in Britain, because now all that stuff, nobody cares anymore about whether you've got big hair or, you know, a lot of bands from that period have been recognised for, you know, how great they were, and I think that he would have made a really strong comeback. And you know, that's the saddest thing. You know, if he'd have been around a bit longer. You know.
But like his father said, would he have been able to cope? I mean, he did have mental problems, so, I mean, how would that be diagnosed? Was he diagnosed with bipolar, or what kind of, what would you call, what's he suffered from? I mean, what kind of medication?
Schizoid defective disorder.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
That's the term.
Yeah. So the mixture of paranoia and...
Yeah, and I really don't know. He got really heavy pills, I think, and probably we're 20 years further. So probably medication is better now than because what struck me in the story was well, doing something creative too. If you can't do it because you have to have pills.
I've heard that sort of thing before, that I've been with bipolar disorder and even Tourette's. Yeah, they
exactly, and that's the worst thing that can happen to you. So
you know what you could do, but you can't do it because
And
you have to make that choice, don't you, in your life? You have to make that choice between
exactly. And that's really the toughest choice you can make for an artist. So, but probably now it would be better with him. But you know, you don't know. It's all guessing.
I think you often get that dilemma, don't you? That people, I suppose, vulnerable stars, if you like, in the music industry, you know, they have to do the music, and they do need the recognition, a lot of them. But the actual process which that involves, i.e. dealing with the recording industry, going on tour, all that stuff is not, you know, it's not beneficial to anybody's mental health. I mean, you know, if you speak to the most level-headed, normal, not ill musician, they will tell you that when they come off a tour, they are absolutely mashed. You know, they're not in a great place, because the place is unreasonable demand. I mean, I don't know if any of you went to the John Grant talk in here this afternoon, but he was talking about that, and just the way that, you know, when you go on tour as an artist, and everybody that you're encountering is geared to making things good for you. You know, so have you got the guitar? Have you got you? The focus is all on you, and that's a really strange environment to be in. You know, he likes to go home and do the dishes. He wants to. You know, he has to get away from that environment, and so it's a catch-22, if you like. Really, I think that's what, you know, drives a lot of artists into problems, you know, into all sorts, you know. Any more questions from the one at the back there? Very dark at the back. Yeah, far away.
The lady first.
Okay, far away. I can't see back there. I'm looking into the. That's better.
Well, I'll go first then.
Okay.
Thank you. You should be very proud of what you've achieved. It's for someone as ignorant as I am, but loving that music, I feel that I have been totally ignorant about Adrian's life and work, and I'll definitely be looking into it. And it's come from a place where it's a fan who's generated the work, who's created the work, who's produced the work, who's directed the work, because you were introduced to it. But when Jean-Paul, did you realise that he was such a difficult character? Did you know that from the start? Did you know that
Thank you.
problems from the start, or just enamoured by his skill?
So your question is,
When did you learn that he wasn't a wonderful character on stage, he had his problems and he was difficult, he had a difficult personality that meant that he couldn't
That was
continue with
that was for the,
his close friends for...
yeah, that was for the first time in 2001. I heard some things about
right
it,
way through
which
his life.
which I really didn't like to hear as a fan.
Yeah.
But during the recording of the film, it became very obvious. And for me as a fan, there are a lot of things which we couldn't put in the film, are really not nice to hear. And he was a difficult character. But on the other hand, some people say he was always funny and he was always joyful.
So when you started with the film, did you realise the direction in which you would be going,
No,
or the journey to
No.
get to the final?
no. When I went to Marc, I wanted to make the film with Marc chronological, about the success of the sound, starting with the Outsiders, the Crazies, and the other band that he was playing in. Second Layer is a side project. And then all the stuff he produced, because he was also a producer, like for a band of Into Paradise, an Irish band, and all the solo stuff. I thought the film would be like that, but yeah, well, very soon we became aware that it became another story. And Marc did the job, and the film really became like that on the editing table, because while Marc was editing some interviews, other questions came above, and we had to go again to England to interview someone else to ask about what was being said by someone else.
That makes it a cracking documentary rather than just a record of someone's life. It makes
Yeah. Well, thank you.
it so much more powerful. So well done.
Thanks.
Was that difficult as a fan when you are coming across things and you think, well, do I put this in? It doesn't necessarily portray my hero in the best light. Do I need to put this in, or don't I put? Was
Well,
there a
that was
lot of that?
That was all up to Marc. I didn't. I gave Marc the people we were interviewing. I arranged when, where, what. I did all the research, but Marc made all his decisions himself to put something in or not, whether I was lucky with it or not.
Was it a difficult process? Because you've got I suppose you've got all sorts of ethical and moral and artistic decisions to make all the time, haven't you? All through that artistic process of editing.
Yes, that's what you're struggling with, but somehow everything always, I didn't work on it in 6 months or 1 year at a time. I worked on it for a month, then I did some other, then I did commercial work, had some money, went on to do another month. So there's always a space in between. But I never wanted to make a normal, VH1 documentary. Look how great this band is, and I think this is. I think this is a good way to honor Adrian, because life isn't always pretty and joyful, and because he had this illness, he also was what I'm thinking of people with a mental illness are sometimes, in my opinion, I will go a little bit above the line, but you have to push some buttons to make things better at the end. Everything is thought up, but I really can't tell you where and when, but I promise you.
Did we have a question? Another question from the back there? Okay. Anyone want to throw any more questions out? Probably got time
I just
for a
thought it was
couple
very
more.
impressive that you did tell the story that you found rather than the one you would want to perhaps tell as a fan in the beginning. Did you do any of the interviewing, or did you do it on that? Or?
The interviewing,
Yeah.
we did both.
You
I
both
started.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you,
I started.
obviously, all the knowledge is certainly initially with you.
Yes, and that's true. So I always started the interview, and sometimes we did people twice.
Mm.
So I started, and Mark wrote down what's been said, and then he took it over, and then he pinpointed it.
Mm. Yeah.
He focused on something to get more from it. That's how we worked.
Mm. And I think also a real testament is that the people who found him difficult, there's still great fondness in the way they speak about him, which testament to him, and perhaps testament to yourselves as well, in that they respected that you were going to treat it sensitively. I think is a very impressive piece of work.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We did our best.
Okay, go on.
I would agree with that. And we've got time for maybe one last question on any aspect of the film or about Adrian. Anybody?
I'd just like to say thank you, because I'm a fan of Jeopardy, the
Okay.
first album. That's the only thing I really know about the sound and Adrian. I think I've got some of the later albums, but I've never really. But Jeopardy for me was as good as Crocodiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant post-punk album.
Mm.
It was like Joy Division crossed with the Jam with keyboards or something. So
Yeah.
much energy to it.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant album.
Yeah, and now you know how they recorded it. It's
Yeah.
almost a live album.
Yeah. And it's great. I really want to go and listen to all the rest of his work as well.
Okay, great. Great.
But thank you for the film. It's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's
Thank
a
you for
very
coming.
powerful testimony. If you've met somebody who want to go and listen to all Adrian's
Yeah, that's great.
music, then
That's
I think
great.
you've done your job as filmmakers. Really.
That's
And,
great.
I think you've honoured him in the right way.
That was the goal, to get more people. That was Jean Paul's goal, to get more people into the sound
Yeah.
and Adrian Borden. And he deserves it. So.
That's a brilliant place to end. That's fantastic. Thank you.